Here on the island of Barbados, where the rhythm of life is set to the pace of a cricket ball, a legend quietly etched his name into the annals of the sport. A man who transcended the role of a coach, becoming a mentor and a father figure to generations of aspiring cricketers. Keith Boyce, a name synonymous with cricket excellence, was more than just a cricket coach. He was a beacon of inspiration, a guiding light who shaped not only the skills, but also the character of countless youngsters. Join us now as we commence this series on the work and legacy of this beloved Barbadian, celebrated not only for his contribution to the game, but also for his unwavering dedication to nurturing young talent. Through the eyes of those whose lives he touched, we'll explore the profound impact of Keith Boyce, who transcended boundaries to leave an indelible mark on the world of cricket. Today, October the 11th, 2023, marks the 80th anniversary of the birth of Barbadian Keith Boyce. As fate would have it, today also marks the 27th anniversary of his death. Yes, he died on his birthday in 1996. Thankfully, he is not forgotten. Welcome to Keith Boyce, his work and legacy, a heartfelt tribute to the man. I'm Sherwood McCaskey. Thanks for joining us. From the cricket pitches of Barbados to the world stage, this documentary will take you on a journey of camaraderie, resilience and inspiration, showcasing the legacy of a man who not only coached the game of cricket, but coached life itself. You will hear from the many youngsters whose lives he influenced positively. But let us begin with his childhood friend Edgar Jackman as he places things in true perspective.
Well, Keith Boyce, Keith David Boyce, better known as Bamako, one child, son of Clarissa Boyce, one parent. He was born 1943, 11th of October. Which is a couple of matter about 2 months and 2 weeks ahead of me. Right. We raised up together in Castle. The plantation was down at the bottom and we in the middle. Yes, in the middle, yeah. Right above the plantation in that district. Yeah, we raised up. He lives up top the hill. He was like near the bottom. And when he got up on mornings, saying before daybreak, he'd be down the hill. Because he had cousins down the hill as well. We went to school together at Boscobel. Mr. Riley, the headmaster. They had a area called 6 Acre, where you go up through the back. Not the public road, you go up through the back. Go to school, run up on the morning, run back down on the phone lunch, run back up. But on evenings, they had 2 ponds in Castle. One, we leave gears to come down. Then they had one to the back, looking to the north. Pond called by the name of Jiddy Pond. We would stop and go in there. That's where he learned to swim. But Keith never let the water pass his knees. Never let the water pass his knees. We had a hill called Sand Rock Hill. And we go up there to fly our kites and then we could look back down by our parents. And all in Josie Hill. All there in Mongier, we would look down there. We would go up on that hill and fly our kites and everything like that. And not forgetting, you know, they had the good Josie Kings reading the thieves, but we met use of some, you know, and that. Keith was a one child, like I said, you know, and if his mother let go first lash at him, don't catch it, she ain't let go the second, you know. He down the hill, you were scared too. So I went down the hill later at night, we came up, you know, and come back down here.
Well, in the Sunday night series, My Community, we have learned that cricket has been played in almost every Barbadian community during the 1940s and the 1950s and the 1960s, although they did not have the necessary specialized tools for the game. Well, they improvised, and yes, Keith Boyce did just that, developing his cricketing skills.
Our first bat was cabbage limb, and what we used to do is to knit our balls. Near a ball. At that time I had the waypoint fiver. You lick it out, scrape it, plait him. Fiver card, old shirt or a piece of bag, make our balls. And then we had the bicycle tube. You would cut off the tube and bang the balls, you know. And you used to get it around your head like a rubber line, you know. One thing about Keith, he had to be a cricketer. Because when he got a bat and you get it on the first ball, it's a noise. And you're giving up your bat. We had one or two little scruffles through that. But apart from that, we lived like brothers, you know. We lived like brothers, yeah. Then our next bat was a Clementry tree bat. And he had a cousin, Darryl, he was a young cricketer. And he fixed her do that bat. And then that's when we buy our first ball. We jump up and buy our first ball, a rubber line. Yeah. And we play cricket ever smooth, we play cricket on. And that's how he developed his cricket. I could have bat better than Keith Boyce. But then he had to jump on me, you know, he had to put risk on me. And my father was very strict. Sometimes he would get near time for I to get back, and my time up, I get because he had to move. We used to get there, get down to Lanks to watch cricket. He would come there and shout me. You know, and I gone, but when I get back on his legs, but that didn't stop me. Yeah. But Keith, we was up together, we lived good, right? Yeah. When the first week I worked, I got $9.60, man. I jumped on top of my head, would touch the sky. And I gave home my money, my mother back me a dollar, I had a dollar sign. And on Saturday nights we would go to Boyce at a man called Testant. And we would buy some sweet bread. We would come back and sit down below his mother house. At that time we had a program called Flying High with Charmer and Joe Tudor. We would listen to that, watch that, you know. And you know, I don't know if you know these court, they had a court called the Family Size. One of them and that, right? And we lived good. When we set our flight sticks, we catch doves. We had our skillet to make a trash pot. You know, and at that time, you know, you had the yard fowls. Yeah. And we put up on a nest. But up on a nest, you know, that food. That's we want. We cook and eat in, and boy, it's no. Yeah. And we keep live good, man, I tell you.
Keith Boyce was like a big brother, a friend, a mentor to me. I can't say anything but that. I remember as a little boy going to primary school in Spikestone Boys School. I would often leave and say, I do like cricket. Most of my guys would go up to Bristol to watch, but we would go to Cordian Party.
At that time, Cordian Party had a team, even better than the West Indies one though. You had Malcolm Hall, the wicket keeper. You had William Bishop, pace bowler, Gordon Boyce, pace bowler, and Keith Boyce was a spinner. Matt Karen and all those guys, right? And you develop cricket like that.
It was a very small school, you know. I mean, it had not much of a playing field. It wasn't that big, you know. I mean, but it was, I would say it was exciting to go to secondary school, you know. And it's, especially in the country, we call it, you know, and I enjoyed it. But we had a very good school team. Guys, Winston Skinner and Austin Ward and those things, and very, very good. And set B was the killer set. The same set, Keith Boyce, myself, and Winston Skinner. We were most successful in cricket.
They would score hundreds, and in one case, Gordon Boyce would double hundreds on a Saturday. And that was kind of exciting cricket that captivated me.
One of our remarkable feats was against police. In those days, we had intermediate status, and police had, you know, they came down with all their big guns, and they got 350 for 9, and said they were going to beat us by innings. And we replied with 510 for 8. I got 220, not out. Gordon Boyce, who I think he was a cousin of Keith Boyce, he got 147. Keith Boyce got about 30, 35. But to this day, a lot of people still think it was Keith Boyce who got the 140, but it was Gordon Boyce. And as I'm told, that 510 is still a record. Nobody at all in intermediate cricket has passed that score.
Well, I met Keith Boyce at Cordian Party School I entered Coach Price School in '59, and Boyce would have been third or fourth form. And he gave me my first cricket play in the intermediate, because in those days Coach Price used to play the intermediate when he was in third form. And I never looked back in the cricket, sports field cricket. He was the champion sports person at Coach Parry in those early days, because he excelled in cricket, football, track and field.
He would not train for any of the sports, or the 100 meters, or in those days it was yards, 100 yards or 220, and he would come on sports day and beat all the guys who had been training. He's a very gifted athlete.
He was the 800 champion at that school. In those days it was the 80 yards. He was the champion, and the prize for winning the 800 was a cricket bat. And he was the champion, and then when he passed on, I thought it was my time to get that cricket bat. So I followed suit, and I won the 800 meters at Coach Parry School for 3 consecutive years. And as a youngster, we always look up to the more senior boys.
Well, he was, a very, very friendly person, and he would sort of, speak his mind and tell you as it is, and he would try to help all the other guys who were probably not had the same ability, but he was a very, very nice person,
I was so enthused with Keith Boyce that I learned to drop my right shoulder and walk that way whenever I go into bat or anything. I went to Coach Parry in 1965. So he had just gone on. He had gone on to Essex, play cricket. But being a Coach Parry idol, and from the time we got them, Mr. Rochford insisted that you knew about Keith Boyce, the potential for every player, every athlete, everybody to be Keith Boyce. But before that, my mom, she's 91 now, she believes that every Boyce in Barbados is her family, because originally she came from the Boyces in Pike Corner. So she believed that every Boyce. So when she heard the name Keith Boyce, she said, that's our family. And I have adopted that, so he's still my family. I can emulate him in cricket. I made all efforts. I started as a leg spinner. Hearing that he was a leg spinner with the hope that one day I would be able to get the strength to bowl fast, but that never came about. It wasn't to be.
For a man that started out as a leg spinner, most people thinking of Keith as a West Indies player would remember him on the few tapes that you would see running in England, bowling fast. And you would hear about his exploits at Essex, bowling fast. But he was actually a leg spinner here before he would have gone to England. And he played as a leg spinner for Empire, first of all, before then going to Maple, when Maple had been successful and been included in the then first division, which would have been our top flight cricket at the point in time.
But before that, he had represented what would have been I think the Barbados on the 19 or the West Indian on the 19. He along with Tony King from Harrison College, and when he came back, I saw a big difference in his cricket, because Keith at Coach Parry School was supposed to be a leg spinner. Yeah, Keith was a leg spinner, googly bowler, an outstanding fielder. And I can remember vividly, we were playing against Carlton Club, and Keith substituted for Carlton and ran out 5 Coach Parry batsmen from the boundary. And this is just to show you the type of explosive personality he was.
Now, I remember Keith, though, from in the 60s. I happened to be at school in Crampton Street, but all 4 of my brothers were at Courtney Park. So I would come home early to see what was going on at Courtney Park, practice and so on. And for me, Keith is the, how should I put it, the epitome of athleticism. I remember Keith I would witness matches with Keith Boyce, Bam McCool, and Wycliffe Phillips, Billett, Roy Smith, and these fellows, Pedro Hines too. And I really fell in love with CP as a result of what I saw as a youngster, 10, 11, 12 years old. Perhaps it's no wonder that I went to Courtney Park to teach for 31 years after. But Keith, in terms of fielding, I rank Keith with John T. Rhodes, with Gus Logie, with Roger Harper. He was really good. You just heard about when he ran out 5 men against his own team.
I first met Keith when he was a school bar at Courtney Park, and I used to recruit players from Maple in the late 50s, cricketers, footballers, athletes, and he was a phenomenal cricketer. I remember in those days they played second 11 cricket, he and Wycliffe Phillips, and one afternoon Police had a fantastic intermediate team, and they scored 200 and something after lunch to win the game.
Then after he leave school, Courtney Park, his first came back, playing in a man called Tony Jits, I think he was working at Plantation Limited. We had chomping up to give him his bat. And he told me that the man had give his bat, passing thing. And that's when he started then playing first last cricket. Then after he leave school, like that.
When he left school, he went to Empire and played for Empire because we didn't have first division status. We were only playing intermediate then. In those days, I don't know if it's still the same. We had 3 school teams, College, Combermere, and I think Lodge, that played in the first division. And then they had the other things, Carrollton, Pickwick, Maple, Empire, Spartan. And so he went to Empire and played first division. But then we got first division status in 1964. So he left Empire and came to Maple. And then he had to come up against Charlie Griffith, who was playing for Empire when he was there, you know. And then we played in the same Maple team with John Shepherd, Glenroy Seeley for Francis, who was captain.
Back in those days, when the boys left school in September, well, for the summer holidays, the youngsters would come up. So we had just finished playing under 15. And I had turned 15. And I played against Keith and Wycliffe Phillips, John Shepherd, at Trains for Combermere against Maple. And he was always a fierce competitor. Although we were little boys, I was 15, 16, Keith was coming at us really hard. But, you know, after the game, he would come and sit down and talk to us and tell us about any flaws we had and things like that.
The early days of cricket. Now back to the chronicles of his life. What about employment?
His first job, man getting at Plantation Limited, working in Tum. That was in 1963, and that very year, I got my hand broke. I was in hospital, old in a hospital. And he used to be my first visitor and only visitor during the week. Because he would come from work before he go to play cricket, before he go to practice, and visit me. And one evening he came and he said to me, "Boy, I got news for you." I said, "What is?" He said, "Man, I getting married, but you can't be there because you're in the hospital." He said, "And it ain't not big." I said, "Man, don't tell me in the junk." He said, "Man, you think I tell you lies? Put out the box." So he even said the ring before his wife. First, Nellie. Yeah. First wife, Nellie, yes. Then he married, I think, between the Wednesday. I came home the Friday. Came home the Friday. And that's the first time I got drunk. I went over. By the time I was courting over, I went over the night and drank some drinks, and that was it. And then his wife, first wife, was pregnant with his first daughter. She was teaching then at St. Clement's. And I used to take her through the back, through Collin, out through Lambert's. And I could look down by early sobers, about the morning. I get back and bring him from the evening. Or he would come home late, you know. And after practicing and things like that. Yeah, we live good, like brothers.
Now back to Keith's sporting exploits.
I tell you, he was a better footballer than a cricketer at the time. He go to keep for Barbados after Dr. Rogers.
And an English team came down here one year. I can't remember the exact name, but Lloyd Seal was the goalkeeper, and Barry Bridges broke his hand, and they put Keith in the bars. The same Barry Bridges took the same shot at Keith, save it with one hand, and dribble it down the field. You know, if somebody does that now, the coach will probably stop to shoot them. But again, that tells you the type of individual he was.
As you would understand, it was a joy to see him. I remember in that same match, I just talk about the one here, but there was one when he seemed to be going the wrong way, and he acrobatically went the other way and saved it. And the people started to, Lloyd C was a household name. But when the people left, they were talking about Keith Boyce replacing Lloyd Seal for good. I don't think it ever happened because of the cricket and thing, but and then there's anyhow to replace Lloyd Seal with being that although Keith was a little on the higher color to us, he couldn't replace Lloyd Seal, who was on a upper level.
And then he Van Holder, and I think Van Buren went after John Shepherd, and him got contracts to go to England. He went to Essex, and John Shepherd went to Kent. Then I played another few seasons at Maple, and then I went on to, I got a contract with Gloucestershire. So we then came up to play. We played against each other for Gloucester versus Essex, because he played for Essex. And despite the friendly terms that we were, you know, when it came on the cricket field, it's like war. You know, he want to knock my head off, and I want to knock him all about, you know. But I haven't met a nicer guy.
When he was down here on holiday, when he was still playing county cricket, he used to come religiously at Courtsham Park on some evenings and train alone. I can remember Keith putting up a stump, one stump, and bowling at that stump for over an hour. He hadn't retired from the county cricket as yet.
I can remember a game played here at Kensington Oval, and I'm more sure it was Australia. Somebody ran 2 runs. On the turn for 2 runs, they slipped and fell. Keith Boyce was at the mid-wicket boundary, and he rifled the ball back into the keeper and ran out the guy, the player, the batsman. I don't think enough is said about his strong arm. He had an extremely strong throw. I remember I was in conversation some time with former West Indies player Winston Benjamin, and he told me one of his fondest memories of cricket. I think Barbados was playing somewhere in the Leewards, might have been Antigua, and he told me what he can always remember, what was always vivid. Keith Boyce throwing from the boundary. Phenomenal arm.
This morning when I was at the beach, a contemporary of Keith Boyce, because I was telling him that I have to go and do this, he said to me that his name is Silford Ward. He played with Keith, and he said that Keith said to him, "I'm going to make the West Indies team one of these days." And he told Keith, "Not if you keep on swiping it like how you're swiping now."
One day, Keith was batting, and somebody saw him and said, "Hey, he knows the pork. Hey, but if your father see you with, your father never bat like that. The boy hit the ball." That's how Keith came to hit the ball.
But Keith did make the West Indies team after having played for Essex.
Remember going to England? He went to England with Gary Sobers, and then he bowled real fast up there, right? Gary tell him, "Man, that fastest ball you could bowl." And that make his feel it boiling. And get boycotted and a couple more.
It's out. Tony Gregg, another breakthrough with the new ball. Keith Boyce takes the wicket. And Gary Sobers falling away with the ball there and completing the catch. And look at the delight from the West Indians. That was a very sharp chance. Now Keith Boyce bowling his first ball to John Snow. And a beautiful delivery. First ball, the off-stump cartwheel back towards wicketkeeper Derek Murray. The spectators erupt again. 247 for 8. And that must be the closest to a hat-trick ever. Unfortunately, no ball was called by umpire Constant. But that ball almost cut Arnold in two. It really did cut back from off stump and lifted over the top of middle.
Short one again, it's high in the air, Kallicharran's underneath it. And he's caught it, fine catch down at long leg by Alvin Kallicharran. Another wicket for Keith Boyce and Jeffrey Arnold out. And Boyce racing down the wicket to join his teammates. His 5th wicket for the first time in a test match. And following his tremendous innings of 72 yesterday. It's certainly been Keith Boyce's match so far.
And he played his heart out for whoever he played for. Keith Boyce played for the team he represented. He did his best, you know. He was not a selfish player. An athlete of the highest order, a good athlete, runner, cricketer, footballer, whatever sport he entered at the top.
Quite interesting indeed. Well, today as family and friends celebrate his birth and commemorate his death on October the 11th, may this series act as a reminder that his memory lives on, not only in the cricketing records, but in the hearts of those who were privileged to know the man Keith Boyce. From the castle in St. Peter, I'm Sherwood McCaskey. This has been Keith Boyce, his work and legacy. The series continues next week at the same time.